Hello, everybody. Good evening. Warm welcome. I hope all of you are doing good. You can see that you're all joining. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yes, good evening, everybody. Great to see you again. Great to be talking to you. Those of you who are on YouTube, warm welcome to you as well. Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you, Guru. Thank you, Azmat. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Pramila. Good evening, everybody. Warm welcome again. So let me start sharing my screen and let us start our study of Python again in right earnest with all the joy, with all the excitement that it deserves. Okay. So till yesterday, if you remember, we had ended the class with functions. We had done extensively we had also done some programming yesterday, which is the happiest thing for me. Today, before we start off, I will give you a small program again to work on. Okay. So let's wait for a few minutes. In the meanwhile, you can use this time to discuss your questions, your doubts. So let's take 5 minutes and discuss your questions from the previous sessions. Okay, Saket, very good, Saket. Yesterday problem solved. Ji Vishal, namaste. Good evening, आपको. Krish, good evening, Krish. Good evening, Tejasvi. Okay. So any questions from the previous sessions? आप लोग को कोई सवाल है, आप लोग का कोई सवाल है, कोई डाउट है, प्लीज गो ahead and shoot. Madina says all clear. Thank you, Madina. So happy to hear that. Are you guys practicing? Did you take up any MCQs? Yeah, Tejasvi, please ask. Ji Harsh, namaste. आपको भी. Okay, Tejasvi asks, what is the difference between lists and tuples? Essentially, they're one and the same. Only thing, Tejasvi, is that the subtle difference is that lists are mutable, whereas tuples are not mutable. Okay, Q's, I will say. Difference between lists and tuples. Okay, that's the main difference. And one starts with a bracket, square bracket, and ends with a square bracket, and the other one starts with a curved bracket, ends with a curved bracket. Okay, Harsh, set data type is also something like a correction. Only thing is that it doesn't have a sequence. Like for lists, tuples, dictionaries, we have indexes. For sets, we don't have any indexes. They're unordered collections. And sets, unlike lists and tuples, which can have duplicate values, sets cannot have duplicate values. You would you would do me a great favor if you can actually go through sets on your own. While I would have loved to cover it, as you understand, time is short and there are a lot of other things to cover. So I'm leaving this for you. Okay. That's a very good question. Saket asks me, can you provide any real life use case which can be solved using concepts we have discussed so far? Saket, we will have to move a bit more. Okay. See, you can do the basic programs like what to say, this one, printing a table of 1 to 10 and all these things. But for real life use cases, you will need to cover a bit more details, like at least the functions, the modules, etc. Then I will give you a real life use case. All those of you who are raising your hands, my dear friends, why don't you go ahead and type those questions? Difference between overloading and overriding. Okay, Harsh asks me difference between overloading and overriding. You know what, Harsh? The primary difference is that overloading means when you have one type of operator and it has different type of functionalities. It's called as overloading. Means same thing, looks same, but has different functionalities. And overriding means you override a value. Suppose a global variable and local variable. We will cover this in today's class. The local variable overrides the global variable value inside a function. Sachin, that is one use case. Yeah. So you can do things like you can actually print those patterns that you used to get, no star, 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 things like that. Those are not exactly use case, my dear friend. They're more like programs. Use case means there's a practical real life problem. Suppose I say that there's a sensor which uploads data in the cloud. Okay, and you need to read those sensor values in the form of a JSON and then update into a database, insert into a database. Prasanna, go to branching, very honest, I have never seen go to branching statement in Python. Okay, Trivikram Chakradhar asks me, how is memory managed in Python? Chakradhar, I really didn't have a chance to go into those depths. But what I have understood with the little things that I've worked with the applications that I've worked with, is that memory is managed basically by dynamically. So Python, it has got its dynamic garbage collectors, etc., which keep a tab of what are the junk memories and all that. Then also how much memory to be allocated for what. I gave you an example for the list. How Python makes a smart guess how much extra memory a list might consume. Based on that, takes a decision of allocating some extra memory. Yeah, so there are actually articles, you can read these articles like Real Python, etc. These websites are there, these are good. Real Python, then Real Python, then you can check this one. Check. I forgot the name of the site. They also come up with you. Good data science. Analytics Vidya. Okay. And go to this site also. They also have got good. Yeah, this is good. Towards data science. This site you should all follow. Towards data science. Okay. They have a lot of very different sort of articles, very scholarly articles, etc., etc. Okay, Saket, thank you. We'll pass it on to the students here. Also, you can slowly start now working with Hacker Rank Code Walls. Okay. Hacker Rank you can take up. There are problems based on topics like loops, if-else statements, etc. You can take it up. Manjusha, local scope, global scope, I am yet to discuss. So just drop it for the moment. Tejasvi, exception handling and widget. Exception handling, we will come to it. You have seen a bit of it. What are exceptions? You have seen those red error messages that come. Widget basically it's in UI. Yeah, Vishal, you can do it. Give it a try. Okay, good, Saket. Good, guys. I'm so happy to see you are actually trying programming. You're trying to work out topics on your own. Very good. Excellent. Okay, guys, let's start working. Before we start today, let's have some fun. I've been discussing serious topics with you. I think you also deserve a break. So let me tell you how life is like in the corporate world and for a programmer. Okay. I found this slide and it's pretty interesting. Anybody of you have ever done any internship with a software company by any chance? Okay. Okay, no problem. I'm sure you will be doing it soon. Many of you will be doing. No, but attended workshops. No, Bhavya says yes, sir. Okay, good. But with Zomato and digital marketing. Okay. Pramila, my question is, have you done any internship with any software company by any chance? Am I audible? Is my voice loud and clear? Okay. Thanks for the confirmation. Okay. So in a software company, this is what happens. So see the programs and all that you're writing now, it is actually to design some software which a client needs and uses. You say the use case, it's like a use case. So suppose the first tree that it shows, it's like a swing. The customer explain that I need something like this. Okay. The project leader is basically the person who coordinates the entire project. Okay. So this is how the project leader understood it. Pay attention to it. I'm going to ask you a use case. I'm going to ask you a theoretical question on this. Okay. This is how the analyst designed it. Who is the analyst? The person who is responsible for designing the project, saying that these are the features that are to be there. These are the technical specs that have to be there. Okay, so the third is how the analyst designed the project. Fourth is how the programmer wrote it. You guys, your upcoming programmers, bright young minds. Fifth is how the business consultant described it. Business consultant is the person who goes to the customer, talks about business features, business attributes and all, who says, sir, give me this business. I will do this for you. I will do that for you. Okay. How the project was documented. This is why I tell you, you should write codes properly. You should write designs properly. You should write comments properly. What operations install? What is the operation? Operation is the guy, the DevOps guys and all who go and actually install the project in the server, in the cloud, the final installation. How the customer was built. Do you know customers are built for hourly basis? If you go with TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, they build customers on an hourly basis for the people who actually write the code or develop the program or develop the applications or work on the project. Okay. How it was supported. Project is deployed. There is a team who should support. If any problems are there, any bugs are there, any issues are there. Today, when you are attending this session, you see there are 3-4 of our people from ExcelR who are supporting you round the clock. Okay, so support is a very big thing. And fifth is what the customer really needed. Customers actually, these are very typical scenarios. I will tell you, I was in a project for a very big telecom operator in South Asia. So when we went there and we presented the project, what we have done and all, they said, hey, hold on. This feature was not like this. I had told like this. Okay. So what do you think from the difference between what the customer needed, what the customer actually needed, really needed, and how the customer explained it, and how the project leader understood it? Can you tell me, what do you think went missing? What could have been done properly? What could have been done properly so that these problems wouldn't have occurred? Come on, give a guess. Okay. Lack of communication, understanding. Nikhil, communication, understanding each other. Vishal. Okay. Customer feedback. Bushra says customer feedback. Proper Katie, Nikhil, good point. Shashi says communication and insights. Monica says leader should understand clearly. Good. Come on, people, be energetic. Give more answers. Lack of empathy. Bhima, lack of empathy. Okay. Prasanna, requirement keeps changing. Okay. Vishal, support of teammates. Agile, adapt agile. Bushra haven't come to adapt agile. Wait. Tanushri, lack of understanding customer needs. Okay. Direct interaction between customer and programmer, mass communication, project leader should have understood it properly, coordination support. Excellent. Rough drawing sketch would help the project go correct. Muhammad Safwan says good. Shukla says to and fro communication for better understanding. Fifth is the X pitch and 10th is what we deliver. Good, Saket. CX pitch, lack of requirement analysis among members, no proper communication. Prashant, no proper documentation approval. Good point. Lack of present idea, Aditya. Good. Nani, team leader to have understand properly. Okay, we need to listen to their plan. Lalita says, Vishal says, mainly one thing, how customer thinks, that way we should think, sir. Vishal. Good. Very good. Although many of you have not done internships and all yet, you have proper ideas. See, I will tell you what happens. Lack of analyzing the problem. Excellent, Prasanna. Okay. See, I will tell you what happens. Physical explanation with proper PPT and all. See, what happens is, no, many times the customer himself or herself doesn't know what they need. Why is that so? Suppose you will hear the term, and I'm not discouraging any technologies. You hear the terms like big data, this, that. Okay. So the customer will say, I need something of big data. But that customer hardly has any large scale data. And what happens? The business people in the vendor side, what they said, yes, sir, we will give you big data. We will give you this. We will give you that. But then what happens? No, the customer actually probably needs just a bit of a small MySQL database with proper amount of cloud storage facilities. And that's it. But the customer has heard the term, I need big data, I need AI, ML here and all. He needs nothing except earlier. I'm just giving an instance. Okay. So first of all, customer himself or herself hasn't done his or her homework properly. That's a problem. So even at the customer end, there should be people who know what they're working on. Secondly is, as you said, things went on with somebody imagining something. Somebody said imagination, lack of proper imagination. No, it's actually too much imagination over here. Okay. So what should have happened? The business consultant, the analyst, the project leader, they should have had a proper business requirement scope document discussed for days together with the customer and got a sign off. I will tell you an experience of mine. So we had gone to install a project at a customer place in Africa, in a country called Rwanda. Okay. And it was a major telecom operator. So entire 1 week, a team of business analysts, a manager, us and all, we had extensive discussions with each team in that operator's office, major teams, and then came down with a proper requirement spec. At each level, we sat with the customer and told the customer, look, this is what we have understood. This is what you need. This is what you need. Please sign off. Once the sign off was done, okay, then the document was passed to the technical experts. They analyzed it. They designed it. The designers actually wrote what should be the input, what should be the output at each stage, at each module. When such extensive documents come, then when a programmer writes it, and this program is reviewed properly, say probably in the case of part 4, what would have happened? The programmer wrote something and that code got passed with the proper reviews. So always, my friends, you're all upcoming programmers, develop the habit of getting your programs reviewed by your peers and seniors. Okay. Then what? Project documentation. I have worked for a company. It was an UK-based company, and our designers were based out of Australia. So unless and until our codes had proper documentation, they wouldn't even review the code. So you see how stringent these people are. Okay, so somebody says physical explanation with proper PPT and arts. Exactly. So a good document is extremely needed. What operations install? What operations install? They also didn't understand what has to be. So probably the programmer, the analyst didn't give them proper documentation, didn't give them proper KTs. They were not involved during the stage of developments. So that is why somebody said agile. I am coming to the concept of agile. Who was it who said that? Can you quickly type back? I said. Yeah, I will. I'm maximizing the screen. I think I've maximized it. Are you able to read now? Okay, 1 second. Yeah. 1 second. Huh? Just trying to maximize. Are you able to read the complete screen now? Oh, okay, good. Okay, Bushra had said, okay. Right. So in this case, what happens now and how it was supported? You know, friends, a few days back, I had been to a prospective customer visit for selling, for pitching one of our products. And the customer happened to be a Italian. So one thing which the customer told us in a very bad tone was that your quality is not good. Bushra, you are not able to see my screen at all. Anybody else having this problem? Okay, thanks. Bushra, you can please just try refreshing the screen and see. So we had been to a customer visit, and the customer was Italian. So he was speaking very badly of our quality. While we as Indians, we were intensely hurt by what he was saying. And our products usually are very good quality and we have give a lot of support. But a general feeling comes in that whatever when we do a lot of things. We have very good softwares, etc. But generally we are lax on the side of quality. So never be lax with quality. Remember that as Indians, what you do, everything in life, somebody else, our products are going world class now. The project software you write, somebody in probably Europe or Africa or Asia Pacific will use it. And when our quality is not good, our support is not good, we are unapproachable. It puts a bad name on India. So have that greater cause in mind. Remember that it's a slur on my software is a slur on my country. Okay, so you plan that way. You remember that what you write, it has to be, you should try to make it as defect free as possible. How is that possible? Through repeated reviews, the feedback from the testing team, from the support team. Okay, so these are the points you need to remember when you get into a programming role. Many of you will move on. So I also started my career as a programmer. Then finally I moved on to become an analyst, project leader, project manager, etc., etc. So at every step, we all are responsible for what the other person does. So if a programmer writes the program badly, the program manager is responsible. The project lead is responsible. The testing team is responsible. The designers are responsible. So keep that in mind. Yeah. So always try to achieve excellence. Doesn't matter. It may not come in a day, but try to achieve excellence. Yes, Tarunashri, while that may not be possible, Tarunashri says that after understanding customer needs while developing the project, developer keep in touch with customer. So that's a good suggestion, but that may not be actually valid because there are other teams who interact with the customer. The project programmer may not be directly available. But yes, as somebody said, in agile mode, what happens? There are agile scrum calls. So the customer is part of these calls. The programming teams are, the program managers are, okay, the product owners are. So you have daily calls. So that is why Agile is such a preferred move. Yes, Saket, correct. Scrum board will help. Exactly. Okay. And by the way, this Agile, Scrum, many of these concepts, Lean, Six Sigma, they have come from Japanese companies. Okay. So my dear friends, whenever you program, remember you are Indians. You can do anything and everything. You're the best in the world. Have that pride in your applications and software or hardware, whatever you work. Okay, thank you. Sorry for so much Gyan, but I wanted to share this with you, my own learnings, experiences. It's a fascinating thing that I find it interesting, so I shared with you. Okay, चलो. So, थोड़ा आज आप लोग को ना प्रोग्राम देके शुरू करते हैं. पहले आपको बहुत सारे इनसाइट्स दिए, तो अभी थोड़ा प्रोग्राम भी करो. Okay, fine. Can I get an emphatic yes? Yes. Hmm? Okay. Okay. Take this program, go through it, try and understand what will be the output at each stage. Lalita, have you installed Python? Okay. If you have not, please, Lalita, tomorrow before coming to class, install Python. I've shown it on the day one. You should be having the recordings. For now, what you can do, many of your friends and colleagues here are actually working on something called as Google Colab. Can type here like this, Lalita, as I've done, Google Colab. Come here, welcome to Collaboratory. It comes with your Google account. Your Google account should be open. What you can do, you open something called as a new notebook. Save this, save name as my programs. And you can code here. See, this line is there, no? Can write your code here, like in my case, print high. So it will run. It will take a bit of time when you first start it, but it will eventually come up. Okay. Lalit, I think today I've been able to explain to you properly. Thank you, Salma. Thank you so much. Program is app. Yeah, Lalita, if that works for you, I'm fine with it. But I will suggest you please download Python, at least PyCharm or something, and start working there. Because when you go to a company, they will ask you, they won't allow you to program an app and all that. Okay. Chalo, friends, I'm giving you 5 minutes. Come on, get going, get going. You know, in the army commando training, they have something called as a hell week, para commandos. 1 week of intense, rigorous training. They're not allowed to sleep at night. They are made to run for miles together. Okay, so let's have a hell week before we finish. Okay, Rajesh. Rajesh, don't just run the program. Try and understand what's happening. Everybody, please don't just run the program and give me the output. I want you to analyze the question, try answering them, and then cross-check with the output. Okay, some of you have started giving me answers. It's good. Ship Pratap, Shukla, very good. But please do the complete thing. Then let's go through it one at a time. Okay, we will go through each steps. Okay, sorry, I was speaking on mute. Okay. See, I was saying that I have given you another program. Those of you have finished, please try the program. Okay. We will take up the other program in a minute or two, the first one. And I also say that try it. Even if you're not able to solve these programs, don't worry. Don't get discouraged. Don't get disheartened. The effort matters a lot, as you will understand gradually. And every little program you are able to solve, it will give you a booster dose of confidence. Okay. Okay, come on. Let's start with the first question. So A0 equals to dect of so and so, so and so, so and so. So this, very simply, we can understand that there are two tuples. These are being zipped together and then converted into a dect. As somebody said, they're being unzipped into a dect. I'm absolutely in agreement with you. So this is the dictionary. A dictionary A having keys A, B, C, D, E and values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next is what? Next is, it says A1 equals to range 10. So what are we doing here? We are creating a range object called A1, which internally has generated a sequence of numbers from 0 to 9. So total 10 numbers. A1, range 0 to 10. Next what? Next it says A2 equals to sorted I for I in A1 if I in A0. Now, see, whenever such multiple things come in, no, go through it one at a time. Go through the innermost loop. So innermost is, you can see a list comprehension. So again, expression, for loop, and if else condition. So this is what? This is creating a list basically. List of what? For I in A1. What is I in A1? It is basically I is from 0 to 9. Right? A1 is the range object. So I'm looping through the range from 0 to 9, range of numbers. So every time, what is I? I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is if I in A0? Let's look at this. Now, if I say, get my question properly. If I say, sorry, A0. This is A0. If I say if 1 in A0, sorry, not if, 1 in A0, tell me whether this will return you a true or false. Look at my screen. 1 in A0. Will it return me a true or false? False, false, true, 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 false, false, false. Okay. So I think an even distribution of true and false. Let's look at the answer. Returns me false. You know why? Because when I'm searching for something in a dictionary, it is searching for the key. Remember this, dictionaries are accessed via their keys, not the values. So the key, there's no key called 1 in dictionary, A0. So it fails. If I had given A in A0, it would have written me true. So here now, let's go back to this question again. A2 equals to sorted. So it is searching for the numbers 0 to 9 in the dictionary A0. If it is there, then it appends that integer I basically into the list and sorts it in a proper order, ascending to descending. But in this case, since this condition fails all the time, so A2 is a blank list. A2 is a blank list. See, this is how you need to analyze. If I in A0, what is A0? Go through it properly. What is I? Understand it properly. That is why you need to be vigilant. You need to observe properly. Okay, so A2 is a blank list, as some of you had written previously, answered previously. So next, A3 equals to sorted A0. See, it looks very complex, but if you break it down, each and every step is very easy. For S in A0, what is S? Okay, A0, S for S in A0. So S is again some iterator, and it is, what is it doing? It is iterating through A0, which is a dictionary. So when it iterates through a dictionary, all that comes out are the keys. And A0, this is the expression. So A0, dictionary and key values. So keys. So the values are coming out and it's being sorted into a new list. So what is A3? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next A4. What is A4? See, all your concepts of list comprehension, dictionaries, all are getting cleared in this just one question. See how. A4 say I for I in A1, if I in A3. So what is I? I is an iterator again. What is A1? Range 0 to 9. What is A3? List of values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I am checking. I am looping from 0 to 9. And I'm checking what are the values from 0 to 9 that are present in the list A3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A4 also is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same list. For S and A3. For S and A3, not S and A3, S and A0, I guess. Yogesh. Okay, Yogesh, I will tell it. Yella Krishna, I will tell it again. Let me finish till A5 and A6. Okay, let me first tell you. See, A3, what is A3? It says for S and A0. What is for S and A0? For S is just an iterator, and A0, if I say print S, what do you get? You get the keys A, B, C, D, E. As I said, when you just say something in a dictionary, the key values are returned. Keys are returned. Okay. So here for S and A0, it's basically A, B, C, D, E. Yes. And then what? I say sorted for I in where was I? For S and A0. Now what I'm saying, A0 of S. A0 is what? Is the dictionary. Right? A0 is the first dictionary that we created. So A0 of A, basically this expression comes to like this. A0 of A, A0 of B, A0 of C. So basically you get the values of the dictionary, values from the dictionary corresponding to each and every key that is pulled out. And that is sorted and stored. That is A3. A4 is similarly the same thing. And what A5? A5 is, again, it's a list comprehension. What is it saying? It's saying I colon I into I. So I am actually creating a dictionary. You see the curly braces? So I'm creating a dictionary. How? I'm looping through A1, which is 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 second here. Okay, so what is this? This is just a dictionary that loops from, that takes key values as I, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what is the value of this of each key? I square, basically I into I. It's like this. For I in A1, if I say like this, if I say print I, comma, I into I, what's the output? Like this, right? 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 4. Or if I print like this, sorry, print I, comma, I square. All right, say formatting, Fi, colon, okay. This is how it comes out beautifully. Only thing is, when I do a dictionary comprehension like this, it automatically goes on updating these elements to the dictionary A5. Okay, that is what we had created. And A6 is just the same thing. It's a list comprehension. Okay. So the previous one was a dictionary comprehension. This is a list comprehension. Clear, everybody? Okay. Good. Take out a minute quickly. 1 minute I'm giving you. Now go through this concept again. Go through all these 5, 6 lines and try to correlate them now. Based on what you have tried and what I have explained to you. Go through it. This is acting like new line. No, it's not new line, Prasanna. It's just a blank list. Difference between A5 and A6. Okay. See, A5 is a dictionary, Prasanna, and A6 is a list. That's the only difference. Okay, one is a dictionary and the other is a list. Now for the next question, most of you have answered it. Still, I will show it. So I have asked you to write a program which will check if an input alphabet is vowel or consonant. Okay. Good. So most of you have answered it. Still, it's like this. So what it asks me, first enter an input. So I will first create a vowel, a tuple of vowels. What are vowels? A, E, I, O, and U, right? This is a tuple of vowels. Now, what does my question ask me? It says, take an input, print out whether it's vowel or consonant. So I will write a program, function, okay? Def vowel or consonant. Char. What if vowel dot lower? Why? Because somebody might pass it as a capital also, but my tuple of vowels contains all the vowels in lowercase characters. So I'm saying char dot lower in vowel means if the character that has been passed to me this function it is present in the tuple vowel, then what? Then do what? If the statement is true, return vowel, vowel. Else what? Return that it's a consonant. So I've defined the function. Now I need to call it. Say, let's say, okay. So enter char equals to input. User defined input I need to give. Please enter a character. So please enter a character, let's say A. Then what? I call this, invoke this function. It says vowel. What if I had done again char, suppose, enter a character, I will say B. Now, what if I pass char here? It says return a consonant. Okay, I will also check another scenario. If I enter a character in what? If I enter a character in uppercase, does it work? Let me see. So I say A. Now I call the vowel function, vowel consonant function and say char. So it returns me vowel. Okay. So it works. Yes. And you see one thing, this vowel, which was defined outside the scope of this function. The scope of a function is the area within the function. Okay, all these parts are within the function. So any variable that is declared here, suppose a equals to 1, something like this had declared within the function, then this a would have become a local variable. It's within the local scope of the function. Anything outside it that is present is called as global scope. So this vowel tuple that I've defined, it's a global scope, okay, global. And any function within this shell that I write a function, it can access this tuple vowel without any further definition to be done. Okay. So this is how it works. Saket, even if an user enters a special character, how does it matter? Because I'm checking only for A, E, I, O, U. Juggi, not needed to write so many. So Guggi, not necessary to write so many character A or A or A. Okay, see, simple. Make it dynamic. Okay, no problem. Sanjali, we will go through it again. Global and local. So this was our opening programs for today. Now let us take on our study of the functions a bit more. We have got quite a lot of things to cover. So yesterday I had explained to you what are functions, what parameters a function may or may not have. It may have a input and it may have a return statement. Now, there's some concept called as a keyword arguments. Argument means the input parameter. Okay. So keyword arguments are like this. Okay. Now, suppose I have a function like this, def. I will take the one that is there in my slide, print info. And I print over here, say name, comma, age. Okay. So this is what do? I say print, suppose f, name is name, and age is age. You have to return anything? Not needed. Okay. Now, when I'm calling this function, suppose instead of name by mistake, I pass 50. And instead of age, I pass, suppose, Halloween. So it says name is 50, age is Halloween. Now, do you think that's a correct output? No, right? It's a wrong output. But by mistake, the user has passed it. So what can we do? To make these things foolproof, what you can do is when you pass the call the function like this, print info, you can say also like this, just to be sure, age is equals to 50, name is equals to Halloween. Then what will happen? The interpreter will understand that the first parameter actually is for the age parameter, age argument, and name, what I am saying here, name equals to, it is for the name argument. Okay, so in such cases, you won't get logical errors like the one you saw just now. Okay, so this is called as keyword arguments. Remember this, keyword arguments. Next, what we will learn, default argument. Now, suppose let's take this again a bit further. Let's redefine this function. Def print info, name is so and so, and age I say by default, the age is 35. Okay. Now, if I call this function, suppose I see like this. Now I don't give the keyword arguments. I just pass the name and I don't pass the age. So the function will now take the default age that was given while I had defined the function. See, this is how it will be. If I give an age, however, suppose 56, then it will take the age that is passed to it by the function call. Okay, so that's the difference. Yeah, so default arguments. Got it? So Mia, not now. It's needed when we do define methods inside a class, then it is needed. Next, what we will do is we will study something called as args and KW args. Okay, you need to make note of this KW args thing. I will share with you the code. Please save it. Args. Okay, args means variable args. Now, I'm giving you a use case. You tell me whether this makes sense to you. Okay, suppose you have a student name and the student a number of papers that the student has taken. Say the marks in the marks of the student. Okay. Now, those of you who are from engineering branch, you will know very well engineering. You know that we have electives towards the end semesters. Okay. So some people may have more electives, some may have less, depending on how they've chosen it. So whereas one person might have actually written 5 papers, another person might write 6 papers, or 3 papers, or 4 papers. In such cases, you understand it's not easy to predict how many papers a student has. So if I have to pass the marks that a student has obtained in a particular semester to the function, so this will always be variable, right? So the way to define a variable argument is to use a star, which tells the interpreter that when I'm defining the function, it tells the interpreter that this function is going to have arguments which are going to vary from time to time. Let's say student marks. So this function takes the student, say name, and star marks. So now how do I retrieve the marks? Okay, so it's like this. You can loop through the marks as you normally loop through a list or tuple for ITR in marks. Says print F student and the student's name has obtained okay, that's it. This is the function definition. Now when I call this function, what I am going to do is I'm going to pass like this, say student A, name is A, and this person had 3 elective papers. Suppose he has 20, 30, 40. You see, student A has obtained 20 marks, student A has obtained 30 marks, student A has obtained 40 marks. What if student B has 5 elective papers, 3 main papers and 2 electives? Suppose 15 and say 50. So here now, for student B, there are 5 papers in which student B has respectively obtained these marks: 20, 30, 40, 15, 50. But you see, this use case is not foolproof. Now you know only the student marks, but we are not able to define for which paper the student has obtained this marks. And we are not able to send it. So this is something is lacking. So now what we will do, we will try to send the student paper name and the corresponding marks. So this is what we do now. This is called as KWRs, or keyword arguments. Star, say name, stud underscore marks. Sorry. So now what comes? Student name. Okay. Now what? This stud marks, what is that? It's like a dictionary. We will see how. Okay. And so you have to do stud underscore marks. So you will need the key value pair. We will do dot items. Now we will loop through it. So we need two variables to catch the key, one to catch the key, one to catch the value. So let's say k comma v, our old friend k comma v has obtained v marks in k subject. Now this is my definition. And now when I call this function, now what do? I define like this, say B physics. To 20, chem equals to 30. Say, suggest me one paper, guys. Suggest me a paper quickly. Math, okay. Lalita says math, social math, okay. Math, your favorite. Bhavya says Python code, okay. Okay, math is favorite with most of you. Math equals to say 100. Okay. Now, when I call this, do you see what has happened? It prints student B has obtained 20 marks in physics subject, has obtained 30 in chem and 100 in maths. Now, this might change for student C. Suppose student C has got Python. In Python, student C has got, say, suppose 89. You see? Now, this is what a keyword argument does. Biology. Okay, Shubham. Thanks. Okay, Lalita, computer science. Vakar, what is your question printed for it? नहीं वकर ये डिफॉल्ट आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं लेगा क्योंकि इसमें आप डिफाइनिंग टाइम पे आपको बताना पड़ेगा एज इक्वल्स टू बाय डिफॉल्ट 35 एंड उसमें ना अब कोलन मत दो ओके ये वेरिएबल नेम्स है नेम और एज दे आर वेरिएबल्स दे आर नॉट स्ट्रिंग्स ओके दे आर आइडेंटिफायर्स उस पे कोलन बोल रहा हूं सॉरी कोट मत दो सिंगल कोट okay now this was a very important concept. I want you to quickly try out this program on your own and then go for your break. So I am taking time till giving you time till 8:10. After that, we will have the 10-minute break. Okay, Flavie, I just wrote a program and I've asked you to, I've just defined two concepts to you. One is variable arguments and keyword variable arguments. and I have written two programs for it. At least you write down the define a function which takes in keyword variable arguments as I've done here and call it for 2 or 3 instances. Lalita, that's the format. You have to give an equal to. Okay, Flavi, if it works, it's good. Yes, Ravi Kiran, you can ask me a question. Yeah, Flavi, just run it and see. Should be fine. Write the code dictionary in simple way also. No, sir. Which code dictionary, Ravi Kiran? You need to tell me the proper context, no? Otherwise, how will I understand? Okay, Vivek ji, shukriya. धन्यवाद आपको. No, Ravi Kiran, you need to tell me for which program you are speaking. Star marks means list. Correct, Prasanna. It's actually not a list. It takes it as a tuple internally. Ravi Kiran, which one? Which one? Which program, my friend? You need to tell me at least the program which you are asking me to explain. Which program? The current one? The keyword variable arguments? Okay, fine. Guys, you take a quick break. I will also take a break. I will step out to freshen up a bit. No, Raji, no exam or as such for this. There will be assignments, which again, it's not mandatory. Okay, so we take a break till 8:20. Yes, I'm just stepping out for a while. Okay, so we are back. Let me see how's your questions. Okay. Okay. Come on. Let's take up quickly few new topics. Do one thing, friends. It's okay. Whatever you have done, you have done. Just save your queries. Towards the end of the class, as we discuss, we will discuss all your queries. Okay. We have few more topics to cover. So now, please concentrate. And I'm going to show you something called as a lambda function or anonymous function, which is a bit dicey. Okay, means bit confusing. So all complete attention towards my screen and me. Now you see one thing, this function or any function that you start with def, you give a function name. Then you give this. So suppose revisiting our function from yesterday, which was the radius, right? Area of a circle. Area of a circle. Okay. This is the area of a circle, right? So you see, this is actually a very simple function, right? I could have done this in one line. But since the function syntax is like this, that I have to give the name, then the colon and all, so it actually goes into two lines. Now I can make this very easy by saying lambda. Okay, lambda what? I say I pass the argument and I say 3.142 into r square. Let me do something. From that, specify 3.1. Now I say lambda r colon pi into r pronunciation 2. This is a lambda function. Now what I say area, this is equal to, now what I say, suppose lambda comma equals to, sorry, should have given like this. Now, if I call area with suppose 15.567, then it will give me the area of the circle as 15.567. Don't worry, I'm going to break this down for you. Okay, now if I call area, suppose 198, then that's going to give me this area. Now, what I've done is the moment I use the keyword lambda, which is a reserved keyword, the interpreter understands that it is an anonymous function. It's a function which doesn't have a name. Unlike in def, where you have a name of the function, it doesn't have a name. Okay, and this first R, this means it's a input argument. And this colon, this is the same as what we have here, return. So this pi, basically, there's this attribute in math library, which you have seen before. It is called as pi, which is the value of pi. So you can define like this from math input pi. Okay, so you will have the pi value instead of always writing 3.142, etc., etc. You have the pi value, which has been provided as a part of the math module. It's the same expression that was there that I am writing here as pi into r square. Okay, now this area stores this value actually, this lambda function. So when I call this area, what is this area? Let me show you type area. It is a class of type function. So to this, I'm just passing as input argument the radius. Okay, and it calculates every time for you the radius of the area of the circle. Okay, quickly try this out. Write a function, write a lambda function. So what is the lambda function format? Let me again reiterate for you. Lambda function format is something like this. Lambda argument 1, comma argument 2, etc., colon expression. Okay. So this over here, what you see is the lambda keyword. This is the argument. You can have multiple arguments also, then colon, then the expression. Now, what I'm asking you to write is, you remember that, okay, you write a function, lambda function, which calculates the sum of two numbers. So here your input arguments will be two numbers and the lambda function will be there to print out the sum of two numbers. Okay, come on. Got the question? Have you followed the concept? Okay. Okay, I will explain it again. Yes, I will explain lambda function again and repeat the question to you. See, a function, when we write def something name, it basically means that the function is a named function. But if we write lambda, then what happens? It says that the function doesn't have a name. These are like one-liners. So usually you write a function to finish off a small function in one line instead of writing for 2-3 lines. Okay, lambda so and so. Then what happens? Then you give the arguments that are there. In this case, r. Suppose you say I'm going to pass an argument r, and this is my return expression. So pi into r square. So this is what is a lambda function. Now, if to it, suppose you do like this. Let me see if this works. So it doesn't. So you store this. So it's a lambda function. Now you stored this at this point. Okay. Now, when you call this lambda function, a, you say 10. So what it is, this a just stores this lambda expression. Okay. It's just a lambda function only. For simplicity, you are expressing this lambda function as a. Okay. And what are you doing? A bracket 10 means you're passing the radius 10 to the lambda function. Okay, is this clear? Clear till this? I've explained the logic of the lambda function also. Abu Bakr? Okay, fantastic. Now my second thing, I had given you a question to write a lambda function which takes as its input two numbers and the output of the function is the sum of these two numbers. I can see that most of you have written this correctly. So I'm very happy that you have done it. For those who are not able to do this, I will show you what you need to do. Sum, suppose we give like this sum of numbers equals to lambda number 1 comma number 2 and the return value is number 1 plus number 2. Now when I say sum of numbers 10 comma 20, it is 30. So this was the lambda function. Okay, next thing is the scope of variables. Okay. Just now we had said that variables might have two scope. One is global, one is local. Let's revisit, let's write a new function. Suppose def scopes. Okay. Now it doesn't take any input. It has got a local variable, so a equals to 10. And is a print if a is value a. Okay. Now outside this function in the main shell, I have another variable whose value is 20. Its also name is a. So I say print a, it prints 20. What if I call the function scopes? Then it prints a is 10. Okay, so a was a local variable inside the function scopes. So the function gives preference to the local variable with the same name as the global variable. So a equals to 20 is the global variable. A equals to 10 is a local variable for the function scopes. But suppose there's another function called def scopes1 and it just wants to print a. So which variable will it take, do you think, if I call scopes1? Which a will it print? Okay, Harsh says 20. Shushmita says 10. Rajesh global 20, 20, 20. Yes, overwhelmingly you are saying it's 20. That's correct. Because the global variable can be accessed by any and every function inside this shell wherever I have written, and this global variable will be pulled out unless and until the function doesn't have a local variable with the same name. You can also modify a global variable from within a function as follows. Suppose I say def scopes1 again, and over here I say global a. Look at this carefully. Okay, global a. Now I say a equals to 30. And if I call this function scopes1, then it modifies the value of the global variable a and makes it to 30. Okay, so this is what is the global variable and local variable, the difference between the two. Okay, global variable can be accessed by any function within the shell, whereas local variable is available only for the function within that particular function. Now, how does Python make this distinction? It does it by means of something called as a namespaces, which is the next topic that we will cover after functions. Yeah, Waka, that's what we did, right? A equals to 30. Yeah, Wakar, anytime you can do this. No? In the main shell, you can do this. Absolutely. But we made a function to show you the difference between the global variable and the local variable. And now, are you comfortable till this point? Have you been following me? Are you able to relate to what I'm teaching? Come on, guys. Come on with full blast of energy. Come on. Very good. Abu Bakr has replied to me with all caps. Very good. Okay, Shiv Pratap, that is overriding. Good. You have used the term. Shiv Pratap, one more example. Okay, let me try one more example. What we did pi, right? 3.142. Now, I'm defining another function called def my pi. And what I say is I print, let's say I define a variable called pi over here, which is equal to suppose 4.567. And I print this, print I have changed pi to now I invoke what is pi? It's the global variable, it's 3.142. But if I call my pi, it becomes 4.567. So the pi, which is the global variable, is becoming overridden by local variable, which is 4.567. Okay. Okay, now what you do is, I understand you might still have some doubts, some questions. Go through the materials, check out on your own, do your own research, then only it will sink in. I've given you the broad outline. Now you need to put in your understanding here, think over it and work on it. You will get the concepts properly. Right. Next, what? We will take up quickly 3 functions called as map, filter, reduce. Okay. So these are map, filter, and reduce. They are inbuilt functions. That means you don't have to call some library to get these values, but you can have them as defined functions. They're defined. Now, what does they do? Map means basically what it does. The map function, let me show the screen now, full screen. The map function applies a given function to each item of an iterable and returns a list of the results. The syntax is map function, comma, iterable. What is function? The map passes each item of the iterable to this function. And iterable, basically something which you can loop through, maybe a list, maybe a dictionary, maybe a tuple. Okay, what is the return value from map? The map function gives a map object. Okay, let's look at an example now. What is map of function? Okay. Now, suppose say I have a tuple of numbers for whom I need to calculate the square. For each tuple of numbers, for each number that is present in the tuple of numbers, suppose 10, 17.876, and 97.65. For each of these numbers, I need to calculate the square of the numbers and save it into something. Now, can you tell me how you would have done this without map? So write a function quickly. Tell me how you would have. You need to write a function so that you can find the square of each number in that tuple. So I have a tuple of numbers, and for each of these numbers that is there in the tuple, I need to calculate its square value and store it somewhere. Some tuple, list, dictionary, whatever it is. Giving you 2 minutes to think through. You can write down the program if you think you have a solution to what I've asked. Okay. You repeat the question. So I have a tuple of numbers, Harsh. I am asking you to calculate the square of each number in the tuple and store it into some tuple or list. Or if you want, even a dictionary. Let's go through it. Square. Okay, good, Madhava. That is good, but it's a list comprehension. I asked you to write a function, but chalo, I will take it. So we will do it like this. Square. Let's take a list of squares. Bracket. So what I will do, sorry, I will say def square underscore numbers. So what I will say, I will pass here the tuple of numbers. Let's say this will be the input argument. And what will I return over here? It will be this, right? It's suppose list of squares. This is equal to, okay, what is it equals to? It is ITR square or ITR in tuple of numbers. Very simple, one simple list comprehension. Print list of squares. Right? Now what I call this square of numbers and I invoke this. This. I could have further simplified it by writing a lambda function. E equals to lambda. What would I have given? Suppose tup nums. And what would have been the output? It would have been like this. Same list comprehension again. A. What is A? Done. And this is just my plain and simple logic. Very easy. There's no hard and tough thing over here. Yeah, right. Those of you have given me the answer. Very good. Extremely proud of you. The map does the same thing, but the map function is that somebody has written this for you and you're just using it. Something like this map. So it takes a function like this. So instead of, okay, we will do it as a lambda function. Okay, lambda. What I'm saying, I'm taking one value at a time. You see, this is a map object, lambda A. Then what? I'm saying, same thing. I'm saying A square. And what am I passing? So it takes a function, which is a lambda function and an iterable over here, my tuple of numbers. So what this map does is, it takes one value at a time from this tuple of numbers and passes to the lambda function. So first it takes suppose 10. It passes this value as input argument to the lambda function, finds out what is the return value, so 10 square, and stores it in the map object. Then it takes 17.876, does the same thing, passes to the lambda function and stores it in the map object. Thus it goes on building the map object. So this is a map object. So you can convert it to a tuple. Map tuple, you can do a plain and simple typecasting of the map object. Okay, sorry, map. See, so the basic logic is that the map function, what you were doing by creating that for loop and all that, the map function is doing that for you. And instead of appending it in, or storing it somewhere as you were doing, the map function keeps on storing the output in a map object like a container. It goes on storing it into a container. Think of it like in a box. It is going on storing one after the other outputs. It's taking the input one at a time, passing to the function, and whatever output is coming, it is keeping on storing into a container. Okay. Rajesh, list referred before argument. Right. List one. Rajesh, list one. You are for I in list one. That's the problem. You have nothing in list one. So it's saying it's using before assignment. So I in list, that will solve the problem. Okay, you got it. All of you got the map. You got the understood the concept of map. Just map again. Okay. Okay, let me do one thing. Just hold your horses. I will explain map again. That means remove other examples. Fine. Bhavya, I will remove. I will remove map. Okay. I will remove the other examples. Okay, Bhavya, I've cleared my screen and I'm explaining map for you. So what I'm doing now, suppose I have a series of numbers, tuple of numbers, something, 3 numbers. Now I need to find the square of these numbers and store it in some here. Say tuple underscore squares should be equals to, say 100, 400, 2 2s are 4, 20 square, 0, 0, 0, 4. 15 square. What is 15 square? What is 15 square? Okay, 15. This is what we need, right? This is the output we need to store. Now the map, we create a map function which actually creates a map object which stores all these squares into the map object. Now this A, when I use the map function, I need to pass a function and I need to pass an iterable. Iterable means either a tuple or a list or a dictionary. So the map function, I am writing the lambda function over here. It says lambda number. This is my argument. That means I will pass a number at a time. And what will this function return? Number, square of the number. And what is the iterable? It is this tuple of numbers. Okay. So what the map function does is, it goes to each individual number, picks it up from the tuple, 10. Then it passes its input argument to the lambda function. Whatever is the output value, it stores within this A, which is a lambda object, map object. Then it takes a 20, passes it to this lambda function as input argument. The output it takes and stores into this A. Then 15, passes it to this lambda function. 15 squared, it stores into A. So A is what? A map object. Like a dictionary object, list object. Similarly, a map function creates a map object. And I just typecasted this map object into a tuple. Okay. That's it. That's the logic. Can also pass multiple iterators. Can check out, like I can pass multiple arguments and 1 and 2, and then I can pass 2 separate lists. Yes, as inputs. So suppose this example wherein you have two lists and you have to add each number from list 1 to the corresponding number from list 2. So you can do it in this way. You can have a look at it later on. Quickly, I will tell you the filter also. So what does filter do? Filter function constructs an iterator from elements of an iterable for which a function returns true. It is that same example, if you remember that vowel and consonant. Can't we use map without lambda? Yes, Bhavya, you can. Absolutely. Mani, no problem. I will explain it in a simple way. Either today or tomorrow when we start the class, we will take up lambda. Okay. So filter, what it does is, it takes two parameters. So it's like this. Suppose if you revisit our function that vowels, so take an alphabet as an input and find out which is a vowel. So what a filter function does is that it has a defining function which works on an iterable, and for those values which are true, it stores it in the filter object. Okay. So I will give you that example, same again what we had done for that A, B, C, D, E, that vowel or consonant. Same here, right? Left vowel or consonant. Okay. So what we do now, instead of returning, say char dot lower in vowel, we say return true, return boolean true, else return false. The same function which we had written. Okay. Now what? We will create a filter of characters. Now I'm going to pass this function here, vowel consonant, and I'm going to pass a tuple of characters, A, D, suppose F, and say H. Now what this filter function does is, look carefully. Like map pulls out each iterable from the list or tuple and passes it to the input function as argument, filter pulls out each element from the tuple which is there as iterable, passes it as an input argument to the function which is defined within it. Okay. And if the function returns a true, it stores that particular element within it. If you see over here, filter cas, it returns this, and you can actually filter cas ADFH. So what happens? Tuple. ADFH. Am I getting something wrong? What did I do wrong? Filter bars. Okay, so I think I will have to do a iteration right here. Oh, so sorry, I have not given the filter object itself, filter function itself. Sorry, it's my oversight. Apologies. So I have to define the filter function. Yes, now this will work. What is filter cas? It's a filter object. Now what does it have? If I convert this to a tuple, it gives only A. Okay. Because A is the only vowel. So again, I'm explaining to you the concept here. So the filter function, like map, it takes two parameters, input parameters. One is a function which will take an input and return some output. Now what input it takes? It takes a character in our case, and what it does, it checks for a true or false condition. So it returns a true or false. And the second parameter that the filter function takes is a list or tuple. In our case, it takes a tuple of characters, individual. Okay. And if the return statement from the function, input function, the first function is true, then the filter function stores that particular character inside the filter object. Return a comma, because it's a tuple worker, so it has found only a single a, which is a vowel. Rest all are consonants. So since it's a tuple, it gives like this, a comma. Okay, that's how a tuple is denoted. Clear? See, I understand you will still have some doubts on this. So what I will do today, I will stop the session. You need to go back today. Your homework is you need to study again. What will you study? Lambda functions. And I want you to do this. Please come to class tomorrow with these prepared. Map function, filter function, and please try out even the reduce function. Try these 4 out, and tomorrow come back to class with these 4 done. Then we will discuss. No, Lalita, this PDF can't be downloaded. It's in the LMS. The LMS team, if you can please answer them on this. Some of them are asking again and again how to get the PDF. If you can please answer it. But otherwise, you can refer it. You can go through it, okay? You can refer the PDF in your LMS. Yes? So tomorrow, please, definitely you have to come prepared with these 4 topics that I've said. Okay, so will we stop here today? I think, okay, if you have some questions, you can quickly ask me. Okay, otherwise, should we close the session? No, guys, I can't send this PDF on email. It's with the LMS team. If you want, you can please send them a query. Okay, thank you then, everybody. We will close the session today, but tomorrow we will take up more interesting topics like namespaces, modules, and maybe file reading, file handling. So now you're actually coming towards the sections which will enable you to make a complete application. Okay, so stay on, carry on, stay hooked. Yeah. Okay, Nishant, array and tuple. Tuple is actually more like a collection of items. Array that we use here is mainly used in the form of lists or tuples also. And there's one more thing that we use, it's called as Numpy Arrays. So that's more when you go to the data science libraries, you have a package called as Numpy that will help you to work with arrays, actually proper arrays, what you've understood. Ketaki depends. If there are use cases where you need to use map and filter, absolutely, you may use. Okay. Okay, thank you. I hope you liked today's session. You enjoyed it. The whole idea is that you enjoy the thing and it shouldn't become a joyless thing for you. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Good night. Bye. Yeah. Thanks. Bye. Bye. Bye, everybody. Good night. Good night. Thank you, everybody. A big thank you to all of you. Thank you, Prasanna. Yes, please try.
Amar?